Welcome to another episode of PDR Tool Time. This is episode 188, brought to you by CBD Direct. CBDdirect.com for all your CBD oils and rubs and balms. They currently have a code, PDR Tool Time or PDRTT, which will give you 25% off. That's right, 25% off through October. So get on there. And who else, Daniel?
Wow, 25% off. That's awesome. We got B&D Tools for their innovative accessories. And right now, you guys need to check out their new extensions for their prop and lock, their extension for their fender tools. They've got some cool tools and their bridge system. Some really innovative accessories to make the tools that you might already have even better. And we also have Edgy Tools and all the great accessories they have. We want to thank them for their sponsorship.
Yes, go on our website, pdrtooltime.com, for all the coupon codes and everything that you need to get those discounts. All right, Daniel. Daniel
How you
Brown
doing, man?
And Vince D'Alessandro, your two hosts this time, head to head.
Just us.
Yeah.
Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been a good week, a good 2 weeks. We had last week was a little bit of a off week for us. We didn't put out our normal podcast. We joined forces with Ryan Shutt over at PDR Digest to put out a show with him as well.
Yeah. We've had kind of a whirlwind of fun with the new MTE Las Vegas and how fantastic that whole thing was. Loved it and can't wait for next year. But what's exciting is we only have a few more months to Florida.
That's right, huh? Well, I'll be in Branson in a month and a half. No, about a month and a half.
You got that coming. So
yeah,
it's kind of a double whammy, and you always get rejuvenated when you go to one of these shows, and at least I do. You do too, right?
Yeah, I get sparked.
Yeah, and now we're going to get a double whammy of it. So it's going to be neat to see what that feels like, one after another. So I can't wait.
You know what? Someone was asking me if it's going to affect things and this and that with Orlando. I don't think it is at all. I mean, it's going to be good. I just like being around like-minded people. And when you're going to these conventions and whatnot, you're around like-minded people. Most of them are. They're there for an agenda, which is to get better with their business and with their tools and with their knowledge and networking. And that's what I love about it.
Yeah, I think I think there's room for it. So
yeah,
I think we saw a lot of new guys, which is great. And that's what I'm really encouraging. Your meetup, for instance, I'm encouraging guys all over to do that in your local area.
Absolutely.
Do a meetup. Meet your competition, make friends with your competition. It's better to do that. Try to expose them to, Mobile Tech RX so they can get into a better pricing structure, because that's going to help you.
It's just going to help everyone. It's going to help the industry tremendously. Yeah. So speaking of that, with my meetup, I met a whole bunch of people there, and which is kind of a good thing too. Indirectly, I've put my business up for sale, and this is the first week that it's actually being listed. And, it's we briefly talked about it before, but,
and that's basically what our episode is about. We're going to talk about, Vince selling his business and, moving to another state. A lot of guys are opening up retail spaces, and, what I kind of wanted to breach the subject of, when you design your retail business, you should be looking at a long picture. You should be looking at a 10,000 foot view of your business, and have a business plan set out, but also have an end game in plan. And it should be in that plan when you figure all this out, because at some point you're going to get out of this industry, and when you do you have it set up so you can sell it? So we kind of thought that would be a good subject for today's episode.
Yeah, that, and we're not going to have the whole episode on that. We're also going to, contact a good friend of ours, Dave Dave Shalat. We're going to get him on. We're going to talk about big dents and how he quotes them, how we all quote them, whether it's wholesale or retail and stuff like that, to try and get.
But he's on the wholesale end.
No, he does tons of retail too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he could talk both very well, and we know his name is Big Dent Dave. So we're going to talk about doing big dents and how we price them. Not so much how we do them, but how we price them, and stuff like that. So getting back to the meetup, there was 45, 48 guys that showed up at my shop. Those are 48 potential people that could walk into my business and take it over at this point. And seamlessly, just walk in, buy the business from me, and have a paint department that they're going to make money off of, and have PDR, not have to spend any money on advertisement unless they want to grow. It's already up and running. Ask me what my advertisement budget has been for the last 6 years.
How much has your advertising budget been for the last 15 years?
6. 0.
6 years. 6 years. 0.
15. No, before I was on Google AdWords and stuff like that, and did a little bit of Yelp. But now I don't spend anything. It's been built. It's a model that has been proven to be successful, which I have to prove.
You've been there 6 years, right?
Yeah, I've been at my shop now 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So
this May will be 6 years.
So, okay. So for guys out there that are thinking about opening a shop, the first thing is you're scared.
Yeah.
If you're not scared, you're dumb. But you should be scared because you're wondering, okay, what's it going to take to get people in the door? And what was the first 2 years like for you?
Well, it was, I was never in the negative. I found a retail location that was really cheap to rent. It was not on a boulevard, but to me, it was more important to, real estate's expensive in Southern California. So for me, I chose an area that was growing exponentially. In the next 4 years, there's condominiums that are going up, not even a half a mile away from my shop. There's going to be an influx of 30,000 people within my area, which are all middle to upper middle class white collar workers moving in there,
right.
And I saw that as an opportunity. I'm like, okay, well, I'm only a block off of a busy street. I'm a block away from a major freeway. So, everyone uses GPSs. That's why I chose my location.
Yeah. And that's super important. I think location is everything. If you think about it this way, the better your location, the less advertising dollars you'll spend.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off.
It is.
But once you get established and if your location is really good, like you're experiencing now, you don't do any advertising anymore. Either do I.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things too, Daniel, because when you get into this, it's a big fear because it's really hard to have a standalone PDR shop that's just doing retail dents and not having any hail. Because we don't have any hail out here in California. Right. It's just strictly people coming in with door dings and big smashes, right?
Right.
So what did you do? You supplemented and you joined with a detailer, right?
Yeah. That's something I've kind of done from the very beginning. Because the detailer they're a customer that comes in on a regular basis. So, and it makes your shop always look busy. And that's a big plus. If your shop looks busy, people just equivalent that to, hey, they must be good, because they're always busy.
Yeah. Or fancy cars in there.
Yeah. And that's the nice thing too, is I'm across the street from the freeway. So everybody drives by and they see all these fancy cars out there.
Yeah.
It looks like a car show. So it brings their eyeballs over.
Yeah.
So the next thing I'd say would be really important is something within walking distance that they can go do.
Yeah.
If you're doing a 3-hour repair and they can walk to a mall or a shopping center or movie theater or something, they can bar, even
sure,
something they can go do for a few hours.
Yeah.
That's really helpful.
I don't have that absolute luxury, but my street has become really cool. I have Birdwell surf clothing. You probably know.
Oh, really?
That's directly
my God,
kitty
you're
corner
kidding
for me. No. So, and they have their factory store right there. So a lot of people go over to Birdwell.
I have a jacket I want.
Let me know.
Okay.
And then I have a dispensary for all the potheads. They walk right across the street to the
That's always good.
And next door to me, I have OC Ramps that makes skateboard ramps. So so all these cool things are popping up on my street. 6 years ago, there was nothing there. It was just an industrial street and some businesses. And next thing you know, it's becoming like this cool hip street that people come and hang out on. Besides that, the Audi dealership and the BMW dealerships use our road as a launching point for their driver, or for test driving their cars.
Nice.
So
that works.
Yeah, but so location is important. I don't have the primo location like you do, right on a boulevard, but I substitute that with having a cool street, things to do,
and then. The two locations I had prior to this, I was pretty much like you. I was paying cheap rent, and I was kind of off the beaten path, and I had to spend more dollars on advertising to get people to enter the door.
Yeah.
So it's a trade-off.
Now, when I decided to get my retail location, I had a plan, and I've always had a plan. I wanted to be in a shop by the time I was 40 years old. That was my goal. So I've been in there 5.5 years. It'll be 6 years this May is when I moved into my shop. I turned 40 in April and moved into my shop May 1st. So part of that was having a goal, because I knew, like you said, you have to look at it, the big picture. And I knew that if I was going to ever successfully sell my business, that I would need a location to do it. And I would be able to maximize, the people coming in and have something tangible to sell to someone else, just besides a name and a Yelp page,
Now, with your business, you're getting a painter, right?
Yeah, a painter.
Gavin, that does basically bumpers.
He basically does bumper repair,
other small repairs.
Yeah, he'll do jobs on. He'll paint a panel. There's times we do push to paint together. Although he likes to keep all that money and it does his own push to paint a lot of the times, which is fine too. It takes me away to go do PDR instead. So he uses, he's had the benefit of having a PDR technician too, to show him the ropes, how to use, PDR tools to straighten things out better than just body tools.
Right.
So,
yeah. And does he advertise separately from you?
No, it's all under one company, Dent's No More. So we are basically partners in the paint department, and he has no partnership in the PDR department at all. So if someone comes in, they technically could come in as a partner. If they might want to buy the whole thing, and I'm perfectly fine with that, and keep him as an employee, or they have an opportunity to come in as a partner and own, 75% of the business, and 25% goes to Gavin in the paint department as well. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty attractive when you say it that way.
Yeah. If you knew the numbers I make off of the paint department, it makes it so I don't have to work so hard at PDR.
Now, what are some other things you could have trained somebody and put them in place so you could sell the business to a non-PDR tech, technically?
Technically, yes. Yeah.
But you didn't do that.
I didn't know.
Did you think about that?
I did, yeah. I did. That was probably one of my biggest regrets at this point, is not having a second in-house PDR guy that I could pass it on to, or even keep it and just let them do it and run it from Texas when I move.
Yeah, that never works.
No,
I'd hate to say.
Yeah, it wasn't as tantalizing to me.
Yeah, it's better to cash out and bye-bye.
Yeah, and that's the plan.
But you're basically want to sell the business and train somebody exactly how you're doing things. And so if you're looking for a PDR tech to come in, and then you'll work with them for X amount of time and make sure they've got it all handled, right?
Ideally, the ideal situation is for another PDR technician to come in and buy it and walk right into my shoes, and he would be set. and making money, and probably if he grows the business anymore, he'll probably pay it off within a year, maybe a year and a half. On the flip side of that, if it's not someone that's in the PDR industry that comes and buys it, he's going to have to sub out the PDR to technicians within our area,
right.
which is not a problem. I got a list of a ton of guys that are very much qualified to do so.
But the ideal buyer really is the guy that lives in some place that's super, super cold, is miserable during the winter,
right?
And they can move to sunny California.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, right where you live is absolutely beautiful.
It is.
It is stunning there. Some of the best restaurants. You've got the beach right there, and it's sunny.
I lost you, Daniel.
Days of the year.
Yeah. What was that?
Sorry. It's sunny there. How many days of the year?
360.
I was going to say 300. Give you, but yeah, it's sunny there all the time.
All the time.
So, it's a dream, really, for somebody that's coming from cold weather and miserable, and just, hey, this is your chance to move to California and have a great business.
Even like a hail guy that's just done and sick of being on the hail trail and stuff like that.
Sure.
And wants to come and sit there and do retail work all day long. It's an ideal situation. Me personally, I started.
And can they rent your house too?
No, well, they could technically rent my house. That's going to be up for rent. They could just walk right into my whole life. Take my name.
You've always wanted to be Vince D'Alessandro. You can now.
Go live where he lives. Buy his business and everything. So yeah, that'd be kind of weird. But ideally, yeah, some hail guy that's like sick of doing the hail, and just, boom, it's already set and he's making money immediately. There's not going to be a big deficit to climb out of.
Yeah, because honestly, it will take you 2 years to build the retail location up. You will spend a lot of money on advertising, starting a retail location.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. I mean, even with the great location that I had, I still had to spend a lot more advertising dollars at the beginning.
Sure.
To let people know who I was, what I was doing, all that.
Yeah. And when I started, I started with a detailer too. We both shared, sorry about that. We both shared the location, and we both grew exponentially really quick within the first year and a half, and we had to part ways and go our separate ways. It was like, we can't be under the same roof. We're on top of each other now. That's how quick it took us.
The one thing I would say to guys out there, I think the biggest advantage I have, and I know I get more dollars than a lot of guys in the retail market, is because I have somebody dedicated to do, answering the phones and giving estimates. I don't see a lot of guys doing what I'm doing with that aspect. Having a Tony the Tiger like I have. Tony is my office manager. She does, handles my QuickBooks. She answers the phones. She does everything. But she, we all fall in that trap of you look at an estimate and maybe they're a really nice person and you give them a little bit of a break. And I don't get that with Tony. Tony's straight-laced, straightforward. She just does it by the book, and she gets the money. And I'm like today I had a $1,000 job on a truck bedside, and it was a dream job. I mean, it was it was a big dent, but it was fairly easy. It was pretty soft, wide opening. Take out the tail light and you get all the access for days. And, you can whip through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I love that. That's I'd rather not talk to customers, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, that's one of my regrets, because that's what I've been telling the potential buyers that have come in and talked to me. Is like, my biggest regret is not having an office person, because really my talent is on metal. And I do, trust me, I do have talent to talk to customers and wheel and deal and stuff like that. But I get frustrated after, by 1:00 and I've already answered the calls 30 times that day. And it's like, oh my God, I don't want to talk to anyone else. I just want to push metal. And, that's having, even if I had someone 3 to 4 days a week, just selling and answering phones, it would have been much easier, like you do, like with Tony, and probably more profitable.
Yeah, because I don't have her on Fridays, so I see the difference.
Yeah.
In what I'm able to book in a day, and I look at my day is how many cars can I do in a day. I know the money's always going to be there, but I really look at if the more cars I can do, I know the money's going to be following.
Yeah.
And today I did 7 cars, which is great.
That's a lot of cars.
I can do 7 cars a day. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 of them were wholesale. Started at 7:30 at a body shop, did 2 cars there, and then went to the shop. So the other ones were retail.
Yeah. If I do 6 to 8 cars a day, that's a really good day for me.
Yeah.
Most of my time, I'll do 3 to 5 cars a day on average, and the rest of my time is talking to customers and selling jobs and answering calls and doing this and making sure Gavin is good with his paint and paint's matching and all that stuff and helping him out. So if I eliminated a third of that, I would probably be able to do that 7 to 8 cars a day.
Okay. So when you're scheduling people, is that in the back of your mind? Is I can, how many? When you're looking at your calendar, are you thinking about that as I'm not going to be able to have enough time to do each? How do you figure that part out for yourself?
I
mean, are you scheduling people an estimated time of how many hours you think it's going to take?
Yes, based on the damage. So if I have a big job, a huge job that's going to take me 3 to 4 hours, I'm not going to throw on 6 cars that day. I'll throw on 2 to 3. And we get walk-ins almost every day now. So, and some of them, you want to capture them right away because they're not going to come back. If you say, the door ding that comes in, and, okay, well, I don't have time for you to come back tomorrow. They're going to be like, okay. And they might or might not. But if you say, okay, we could do it if you want to sit and wait or go across the street and get some weed, or sit in the waiting room, it might take me 10 minutes and I'll just filter that right into the job flow of the day. If I'm working on a big dent, I need a break. I'll just jump over there and whip out that dent. I might milk it a little bit and make them feel like they've been there for an hour.
Sure.
Even though it took me 10 minutes or whatever. But, that's just part of the sales experience and providing, the experience that they got value for their money.
Yeah. What do you have any regrets that you didn't do when setting up your business so other guys can learn from that?
No. Well, the only real regret is not having a Tony the Tiger in my corner.
Do you think they would stay busy if you had one?
Yes. No. Okay. They would be bored. They would be bored. So it would be like, I would bring them in part-time.
Tony does both me and Quinn, my detailer. She works for, so she's pretty much busy the whole time.
See, and for the most part. An office lady would not be busy the whole time. Although I do handle 30 to 40 calls a day that come in, either by phone call or by text message or by, I don't even really count email because a lot of people don't email anymore. But those conversations, they take time, especially by text message, back and forth and back and forth. I would rather have someone in front of me because I could walk out my door, quote a job, and have them either booked or in the shop working on it within 10 minutes. That's where Mobile Tech RX comes in. I walk out there with my iPad, boom, 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 got all their customer information, got the dent, quote, everything. You'll always get the one that wants to talk to you for an hour, but I politely say, we have an agenda. We need to get back to work and stuff like that. But would you like to make an appointment or would you like to drop it off now? And boom, 10 minutes I have it down to a science when they walk in the door.
Nice.
And really, Mobile Tech RX has made that, it has taken that 20 minutes of a sale down to like 10 minutes.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing.
Exactly.
So, but anyways, talking about quoting and dent removal and, big dents, why don't we give our buddy Dave Shalate a call and see what he has to say, because that's the other part. So anyways, if you guys are interested, if you have questions for me, if you are thinking about making a move out here, give me a call and we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, we're going to get Mr. Shalat on the line, and we're going to talk to him about how we quote big dents, all three of us.
I love Dave. Dave's a funny guy.
He is funny. He's very intelligent.
Yeah. Hi, buddy.
Don't tell him that.
Hi, Dave Shalate. How are you?
Fantastic. How are you?
Good. Are you drinking a mocha latte from Dave
I am
Shalate?
not.
No?
No, I'm not having a mocha latte. I'm a hydration latte.
A what?
Hydration latte, a water.
Oh, a Walker. Johnny Walker?
No, water. City
Highball.
water.
Well,
Okay, sorry. How you doing, Mr. Dave?
I'm very well.
Good.
hey, Dave. This is Daniel.
Hi, Daniel.
You're live.
Oh, fantastic.
Yes. So we wanted to bring you on, Dave, because we were just talking the last 20 minutes about me selling my shop and estimating dents and doing dents and stuff like that. And the other topic of discussion is, how we quote big dents, wholesale versus retail and stuff like that. And your name is Big Dent Dave.
That's what they tell me.
Yeah. So you should know something about this, right?
I've got a couple of things up my sleeve with that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, what do you think you make more money off of, wholesale big dents or retail big dents?
For me, my money is on the wholesale side because that's the bigger volume piece for me in my business model.
Okay.
If that makes sense. I do more of them, and while it's a little bit of a discounted rate to my volume customers, because I'm doing more and I'm not concentrating as much on the retail end of things, I am therefore having, my volume is with the wholesale side.
Gotcha.
Now, with that, do you try to reach the same kind of perfection you do with your wholesale large dents as your retail large dents, or is there a little bit of a difference? It can be at 90%, not 100%.
Well, you can, I would love to preach perfection all the time, but sometimes that's just not reality.
Though. Yeah.
You get asked to do things that, for wholesale and volume customers that are not 100% repairable.
Yeah.
Right. And again, if it were a retail, if I were at a standalone shop, Daniel, and at a retail setting, then I would have that discussion with the customer up front that here, you've got the opportunity to utilize paintless dent repair. We're going to get you to the 95th percentile, 98th percentile, or perfect if you can make it perfect. But if not, then you're giving that customer, the retail customer, the option. But you're in a controlled environment, and then you're also have an ability to turn it down if you are striving for 100% perfection all the time on everything you do.
Right.
Sure.
Now, when you're doing retail big dents, do you ever wish that you had a shop that you were doing those big retail dents at, or are you just 100% comfortable doing it in the 110-degree Arizona heat?
I'm comfortable doing it in the capacity I do it, but there are days, yes, I would love to have a controlled environment and maybe have a couple extra pieces of equipment or a lift or something and make use of that to help me.
Yeah.
Do they give you a comfortable area to work in, or are you working out on the lot when you're doing that kind of stuff?
Depends on the customer and what's going on and the setup that I've got.
And do you like set up a tent, do you easy up something like that, or do you just try to get in a garage retail and do it there? Because obviously, when you're at a wholesale, you could pull it into the service drive or something like that.
Yeah, I've got access at majority of my dealers. I've got access to get inside, some of which are actually even air conditioned in the service department, which is very nice. My body shop accounts make space for me generally inside if I have to do that. And then again, it's a variable. I've got this was something I wanted to talk to you guys about in terms of solidifying your position in an account. I've got a Toyota store where I've gone in with the paint vendor and we've put up a 2-car aluminum carport, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay. So you want to talk about solidifying in a relationship, not getting thrown out of a wholesale account. That's it.
Yeah.
They're going to have a hard time throwing me out because in theory, on the surface, it appears that I have a, kind of a fixed location.
Right.
So anyway, that provides shelter from the blaring sun, which is a blessing out here in Arizona.
Well, it's funny too because, dude, we both grew up in our careers in Chicago, and it's the exact opposite in Chicago. We're freezing our asses off in the wintertime. I remember working hail with you at Avis at O'Hare Airport. We're scraping cars off with windshield wipers, trying to find damage on the car and bringing them in, freezing our asses off. Now you're the exact opposite, polar opposite.
Right. Well, you and I both, we traded our snow shovel for sunblock.
Yeah, that's right. Hey, that's a good point.
The other thing I make use of a lot, and I think you guys have seen a picture of it, on my TDN cart, you've got that hole that's right in the center of the cart on the side.
Yeah.
And not the 3 big holes on the one end, but there's a single hole, kind of middle way on one of the sides. I have put a Tommy Bahama, not to name drop, umbrella from Costco, the beach umbrella from Costco, and I slot that into that hole, and I put an 1.25 inch solvent weld plug, so a PVC plug at the bottom, directly underneath that hole, and I cut off the end, that corkscrew end of the beach umbrella, and it slots perfectly into the end of that plug, and then that keeps it perpendicular to the cart, and also provides a little stability when it gets windy. And so then I've got a big shaded area over my cart. Yeah. And again, depending on the angle of the sun, sometimes that can shade the panel I'm working on. Plus, then I've got both the Get a Grip and the Mobile Tech Shade, umbrella setups as well. So I'm pretty suited as a Boy Scout for any condition I come across.
Yeah.
The only thing you need to go with that is Margaritaville makes a battery operated blender. And you can have that on the other end of the cart to weigh it down a little bit, keep it balanced for you, And I'm just making a suggestion that might be something you want to add in the future.
Or making mudslides.
Absolutely.
No one really wants to drink mudslides in the heat. Arizona.
No, they're a little.
Your margaritas.
Thick. Yeah, margaritas.
Margaritas the way to go. Yeah. The other thing, Makita makes, and most of the tool makers do now, but I kind of run a Makita setup. They've got a portable fan, that runs on the 18-volt battery. So
yeah. Well,
so I've got that with me as well.
So let me ask you this, Dave, because we want to talk about how you price big dents, and do you have a formula? Do you just strictly go off of like the Paul Corden price list, or the tactical, or is it as much as you could get out of it?
I go off of the Paul Corden list for my retail customers, and I base it strictly on size. I don't, there's a liability in our industry with the type of vehicle you're working on, and if you're on a high dollar Ferrari, Bentley, something like that, and you're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah, there's a the stakes are higher, aren't they? But in terms of trying to remain consistent and have a consistency in your business and a level playing field, I just go off the size, and I don't care if you're driving a Camaro or you're driving the brand new convertible Bentley. You're going to get charged, the amount for the size damage you have. Yeah, and again, I do that on the on the retail end of things, and for my wholesale side, there's a little pricing guide on Mobile Tech RX under my pricing structure where I move up in terms of size on my wholesale, and I end though at the 12-inch mark.
Right.
And it's a guide. It's not set in stone, and I'm not saying everybody should get $325 for a 12-inch dent. If you can get more or need more, or your market bears more or less, you have to be competitive and you have to be, sort of able to blend in. But I like to think at the wholesale end of things, the real number kind of comes down to about a 50% discount, give or take, to the wholesale customer,
from the retail, basically,
from the retail price. So from the Paul Corden or Tactical Dent, or even Daniel, your motorcycle guide, which is pretty aggressively priced, and we like that. You've got to make sure you've got the volume from your wholesale accounts.
Yeah, to warrant it.
To warrant that kind of discount percentage as well.
Yeah.
But it becomes fair, and kind of my wholesale pricing guide, I've got it structured just to, 3 or 4 simple steps. One for your normal kind of everyday door dings and car cleanup price, and then in increments going up from there. I think in the 2 to 4 inch range, and then 5 to 8 and 9 to 12 or something like that is how it's structured. And it ends up being just about a 50% discount from the retail pricing guide.
Gotcha.
Because, I think like a 12 inch dent is $650. Is that correct on the retail guide?
Yeah, it's $650 on the Paul Corden one.
Yes.
I don't get away with Paul Corden ones unless I'm dealing with insurance out here. I generally go off the tactical.
Sure.
But because I have a lot of competition out here. I would like to get the Paul Corden prices, but it's generally when I'm just dealing with insurance. Yes.
Well, I'm in an equally competitive market as well with the Arizona, fair weather.
Sure. Yeah.
So I actually called Bryce Kelly and asked him how is he getting the prices he's getting, because he's 100% mobile retail. And so I called him up, and I think he gave me permission to talk about this. But basically what he's doing is he goes, I'm pre-selling my customers all through YouTube. He goes, most of my people will come to me from my YouTube videos, and they see my before, my during, and my after. And he started putting prices in his videos so that they're already, hey, this guy is fantastic. He's good. Look at his work. And I kind of already have an idea what the price is. And so he told me it's much easier for him now, after people see his videos, to sell them on a large number using Paul Corden's.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Absolutely, and you have to pre-sell your retail customer on the savings and the benefit of, or not savings, but occasionally savings, but on the benefit of not repainting the panel. And that's easy to do for the retail customer. And if they don't want to buy into that, or I think on the retail side, I think if the customer starts going down that road of, oh my gosh, I can't believe that fender is going to cost $830 to repair. My deductible's $500. You've got an opportunity. You should have already pre-sold that I'm going to do this repair, but you're not going to be repainting the panel. Here are the benefits. And maybe to take a page out of some of the corporate handbooks, you need to describe the features, advantages, and benefits, right? The FAB.
Yeah.
And sell them on why paintless dent repair is a much more sound repair for the vehicle. You're not going to hit Carfax. You're not going to get dinged on your insurance. All the benefits. And, comparatively speaking, or then if they go down that road with the deductible piece, then the next thing out of your mouth is, that's fine. I work with insurance companies.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can pay me your deductible and I'll bill the insurance company the remaining $380, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of ways where you can certainly still capture that, even if you have a customer who is purely kind of basing it on price, but obviously is brilliant on Bryce's behalf there to pre-sell it and set that hook with the YouTube.
I got to tell you, it really grits me. Like, it doesn't happen often, but I'll go out and give a big price, the $700-800 to repair that fender or that door. Actually, I have a CRV coming in next week. She ended up going through the insurance, but I've had customers say, "Oh, $700. I'm just going to take it to a body shop and have them repair it." It's like, what? Why would you do that?
Right.
Then I have to explain it to them. It's like, hey, what's the benefits of going to the body shop? we take your insurance, dude. We'll fix it painless, and you'll still be out of your pocket $500 deductible.
Exactly.
It's
exactly.
They don't,
and sometimes we lose sight. I'm guilty of it. I lost sight of it and never really thought about it for a lot of years. But it's right there in front of you. Again, you may not, you may not have so much fun dealing with Geico trying to get a supplement. Oh, yeah. Did I say that out loud? But you can still capture that customer and have them pay the deductible and bill the insurance company. And if it comes out ahead for the insurance and saves them a few bucks, fine. If not, fine. The customer then needs to go to bat and know that you're going to be doing a better job rather than the body shop, and go to bat if you need them to go to bat for you against the insurance industry.
And how does that work with insurance? You probably don't do a lot of it, but how does that work when you're a mobile company? How do you get an adjuster to come out because a lot of the times they'll want to see the car before you work on it.
Right. I mean, that's something that's going to come. It's changing in the industry.
Yeah.
And it's difficult to always sell. It's difficult to sell.
You get?
Sorry, guys. Are you there?
Yeah.
It's difficult to sell the insurance on that all the time because it's a different animal now with us being a mobile service and them not being used to mobile service.
Yeah. And that's...
You may just have to coordinate with them and say, here, we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to meet you at the customer's home or however, or whatever that looks like.
Yeah. And that's
it's always a moving target.
And the good thing is when you have a retail location, they have a brick and mortar to come to, the insurance adjusters, and sometimes it's to our benefit because there's times like, if it's AAA, the adjuster doesn't show up to my place for like 2 to 3 days. It's like, dude, what? If I couldn't understand how that could even work with someone that's mobile, but the adjuster knows, oh, well, it's, dents no more. I'll get there when I can, and the car will be there.
Right.
And the car and the customer's in a rental anyway, so they don't really care that much.
Yep.
So, but cool. All right. Well, go ahead, Daniel. Go ahead.
No, I mean, that's a great insight, and just, it's interesting to hear somebody doing both ends and how they're balancing that. But we appreciate you coming on there, Big Dave. And did you have? Are you excited about upcoming MTE? You're going to be there, yes?
I am going to be there, yes, and I am excited about it because I did miss this one. My father-in-law had passed away, and then we also had another scheduled conflict with a Down syndrome conference for my wife. So it wasn't in the cards for me to hit Vegas, and I'm sorry about that.
You should be.
Yeah, we missed you.
We missed you.
We missed you.
We needed you in the PDR Tooltime Playground. That was a lot of fun. You'll have to come and surf some time in our playground in Orlando.
I would love to do that. That would be awesome.
Because I think you have a lot to offer our listeners, and a couple hours in there, mentor some guys that might need some mentoring and with some tools.
Do some demos of any tools. You're doing a lot with Kiko, so you can go over there and play with some of their new stuff.
Absolutely, I'd love to do that.
Have you played with their new handle they have? Yeah.
I have not yet. Chris did not get me that in time before MTE had a limited production on that, as a prototype.
And it's not a working prototype yet. It didn't even have the teeth in it and stuff like that, but it felt good.
Right. Yeah, and he called me and kind of described it to me when they were kind of bringing it out. And I had an idea of what he was describing to me. He keeps everything close to the vest. I'm not an employee, and I don't fault him one bit for that. And he called me. He goes, "Hey, here's what we've got." And I said, "Well, that sounds fantastic." And then I saw it, via video, and Jonathan and Gene and everybody else. I saw Jonathan's video, and then Gene had it obviously in Vegas, and it looked fantastic. And I'm excited to get to Orlando and be there. I'm going to take an extra couple of days. Sweet. And try and. I just feel sometimes, a lot of what I do, I zoom in and out for a lot of stuff real quickly because time is what it is. And I'm a little bit jealous sometimes when I hear, oh, wait a minute, Vince is closing the shop for an entire week. Daniel's coming for 6 days. And then I fly in and I'm there for,
5
32 hours. Yeah. Right. And last year was no different because I had the fundraiser for the Down syndrome thing back in Phoenix that same weekend. And this year, as of today, there are no conflicts. So I'm looking at trying to spend more time, in Orlando and maybe get there a day or two earlier or stay a day later, something like that. And
hang out with us
and hang out. Yeah. I feel like I missed I hear the stories like, oh yeah, we all went to dinner. We went over here to so-and-so and we did this. And Daniel took us to the tiki bar, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like, oh man, I wish I'd have flown in last night instead of this morning. Right.
Yeah. That's part of the magic that happens in the after hours. All the networking.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm planning on doing that this year.
Good.
And making more of it. But, back to some of that Big Dent pricing, again, with on the wholesale side of things, I've got my relationships, and some of those relationships I have because I'm able and willing to do some of the bigger damage, and some of the other technicians aren't even willing to try it.
Yeah. Oh,
and therefore that kind of also gives you the ability then to I don't want to say name your price necessarily, but it gives you the ability where you are in the driver's seat because now you're the one that's going to actually do that repair.
Yeah.
You're going to be the one that saves them. And so if all of a sudden you shoot the number 400 or 600 or 800 bucks out to a dealer, okay, hey, you got no options. I'm the guy that's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And again, we've discussed it before with Paul and all of us. You got to get comfortable with some of those numbers rolling off your tongue.
Absolutely. And I think that's the big thing with me too, is that when I'm doing the big dents, yes, I have a lot of competition out here in California, but as the dents get bigger, my competition shrinks.
Absolutely. That's true. That's true globally.
Exactly. So
in our industry, right? And again, we've all, you guys called me here midstream after you'd been talking for a little bit. We're all, I'm on my smartphone right now, right?
Yeah. I
have the world at my fingertips, and, in multiple instances. And I can go and I can take a photo of the damage. With Mobile Tech RX, you can attach that photo to the invoice, to the work order. It's foolproof. And then if someone comes to you later on and says, hey, wait a minute, why did you charge $325 on that Nissan Altima? Well, did you see the photo attached to the invoice?
Exactly.
Or you had the pre-approval to do it. And you brought it to your customer's attention, and they gave you the green light. But you've got the ability to document it and then CYA down the road. Yeah. Especially when in some of these big corporations, the AutoNations and Sonic Group and Carvana and that, especially when these bean counters start seeing these bills rolling in and they hit the roof and they get with the owner, the CFO or somebody, and like, we've got to do something about our PDR bills. Well, yeah, you're missing the point already. And again, there's your opportunity to sell the wholesale customer again, just like you sell the retail customer. Hey, paintless dent repair is a better option. It's not always cheaper, but it's better.
Yeah.
And in this case, yes, we can make it attractive on the volume and get you a discount, but it's a better repair. And I'm really not costing you money at $325 for that basketball-sized dent.
Exactly.
And that's the thing. I mean, the accountant, the bean counter, the person cutting the check, the owner, somebody that doesn't have their boots on the ground with that vehicle, with the inventory, the used car inventory, they don't know specifically what you did or what was required. They just see that the number went up from your normal price. And then, they want to make a name for themselves that they're saving the company. And there's no documentation. But with Mobile Tech RX and the photos and the smartphones, you've got all this documentation, and then you can easily defend yourself if it comes to that. Or, again, with that preemptive strike, you've got that ability to showcase what you're doing ahead of time and define why you need $300, $400, $600, $1,000 for that repair.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're absolutely right. That's the beauty thing. I think Mobile Tech RX has really changed our game. And made us professional, made its credibility, liability, everything. It has everything wrapped up into one little package.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
But listen, Dave, we need to get to the end of the show here.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
We want to thank you for coming on. Obviously, we'll have you on again. We always have. We love having you on and sharing your wonderful years of knowledge with our listening audience.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Dave, we will talk to you soon.
Sounds good.
All right, brother.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Dave.
All right, bye now.
Bye, Daniel.
Bye-bye.
Oops, I cut him off right when he said that. So
That's
Big
all right.
Dent Dave, he's a great guy. I mean, he's so knowledgeable on every aspect of our industry, from tools to pricing to everything, and he's a great technician. So
Yeah.
he was one of my mentors when I got out of school.
So to kind of wrap things in a bow here, basically, if you're thinking about getting a place, location is the most important thing. Pay a little bit more in the rent going in for a better location is my advice. Number two, try to get the right person to be your office manager and handle that, or share a space with
You're breaking up,
because
Daniel.
detail and dents really go. Sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening with my.
Yeah. Okay. So Daniel is cutting in and out here. His kids are probably playing on YouTube and Facebook and whatnot. But we got most of what you were saying there, Daniel. And basically, keep the prices up. Use those price guides. If you have Mobile Tech RX, use it. If you don't have Mobile Tech RX, get on it. And we're not trying to push it because they're a sponsor, because really they're not a sponsor. We just love Mobile Tech RX. And so and John's not even on here today. So you're back on, Daniel. You want to say any last words before?
No, I was just going to say, do a lot of planning before you open a retail location.
Talk to other guys. Talk to other guys that have locations.
Yeah. There's a lot of great guys. Matt Moore, Greg Van Winkle is another great guy.
Yeah. And he's gone again. So there's plenty of guys out there that have shops. So go ahead and give us a call. Sorry about all the audio problems we're having this week, but we'll be back strong next week when Daniel gets his internet fixed. So Daniel, what do you got to say?
Level up your tools
and keep it stiff.
Current discount codes, visit pbrtooltime.com with sponsors like Hog Glue and Hog Tab, making your job easier. Found at cancelpbr.com.
Magnatech Mat, magnetic utility tool mat. Version 2 is now available.
And Mobile Tech RX, the app that makes you money.